Es verdad, qué contento estoy. A cada día me entraba algo nuevo sobre la planeta. Esto parece que soy una niña de 5 años. I truly believe that once you understand Andalusian, you can conquer the whole Spanish world. Sometimes people say that it's like a bad Spanish, but Andalusian isn't bad Spanish as many would say. It's a regional evolution with deep roots, and I'm here for that. As we already know, Andalusian is one of the most fascinating and historically rich varieties of Spanish. Today we are in the park, Federico Garcia Lorca, and I haven't been here for probably over a year or maybe even more, but I wanted to do something special. I want to finally read the book that I bought, Prinzipito, in Andalusian. I came back to Granada in 2019 with no Spanish. I could understand it because I've watched lots of movies and series in Spanish with subtitles in Spanish. I didn't have subtitles in English, that's the point. I watched in original language Spanish with subtitles in Spanish. I really truly believe that our brains, no matter the age, is picking up words like when we were kids. You listen to many words and suddenly you find yourself knowing what they mean. It's kind of interesting how the brain works, and if I weren't a graphic designer right now, probably I would study psychology, something that is connected to neuroscience. I was here before as an Erasmus student. I wasn't around Spanish people. I traveled, I partied, I studied arts, and most importantly, I lived with no phone. I knew I will come back one day to Poland, so I had this kind of mindset, why should I bother if I'm not going to stay here? Which is kind of sad when I think about it right now. From that experience, I've learned, like, no matter how long you are somewhere, you should learn the language. I remember that since then I travel and I always try to learn something that the locals could feel that I really care. For those who don't know, Granada, the last stronghold of Al-Andalus until 1492, is layered with Arab, Jewish, Christian, and Romani influences. These cultural layers have directly influenced how people in Granada speak today. During Al-Andalus period, Arabic was the dominant language. Many Arabic words like aceituna, ojalá, or almohada entered Spanish and remained until today. The Latin spoke under Muslim rule also evolved in its unique way and left behind interesting phonetic and syntactic traits. After the Reconquista, which simply means the time when Christian kingdoms fought to reclaim land that had been under Muslim rule, Castilian settlers moved in, but the local way of speaking maintained many of its older traits. The Granadino way of speaking is seen as quick and sometimes even very cryptic. From my perspective, it's one of the best dialects I've ever heard. And having this book, El Principito, I wanted not only to read it, but maybe to dive why it is as it is. I even have this book that it's called, I don't know what it's called, and it actually is written in Andalusian. It explains every word, pronunciation, why is it spoken this way. Like, look at this. This is the entrance for the book. And then you have El Alfabeto Andaluz, Norma Ortográfica, and then you have explained every phonetic thing. This is really interesting. Like, I think I should link it below if anyone wants to read it, or maybe just take a look at it or print it before you come to Granada and you want to understand why it is as it is. I hope I will read this book because I haven't tried to read this book. I only took it to work and I showed it to some people. I don't know, some people take it as a bad thing. They weren't happy when they saw it. I think it's beautiful how they speak. I even found an information that they have been mocked many times on national TV and excluded from formal education because for some, it's associated with ignorance or lack of education. This kind of bullying for their own dialect speaks much more about the people who actually laugh at the other people, you know, not the other way around. I think Andalusians should be proud of the way they speak. Interesting, because in Poland we also have this kind of differences between villages and big cities. I've noticed when I was younger, when I am from a small village and people have their way of speaking. My grandma spoke differently, and then I went to high school and people were looking like, why do you drop that letter from one word? Why do you do this? Why do you speak this way? And then I've noticed like, oh my God, this is probably like a village thing and I have to speak normally. I am so sure that people in every country are mocked for the way they speak. So is Andalusian improper Spanish as many would say? No. It's just the influence of many other languages converted into an interesting dialect. In fact, I've learned that many of the phonetics traits of Andalusian, especially from ports like Cadiz and Sevilla, traveled to the Americas with colonizers. So if you hear Caribbean Spanish, Uruguayan, or even Argentinian and think it sounds like Granada, you're not wrong. It comes from southern Spain. Recently, I've been watching people trying to understand each other. Like, for example, people from Venezuela try to understand Colombians or Uruguayans or even Argentinians. And some say that they couldn't actually understand what they were being talking about. And I was like thinking, why do I understand that? It's so weird. And then I dive deeper inside of it. I feel like Granada and Andalusia is like the best place to start Spanish. The whole world of Spanish speaking world opens to you. Like, it's opened. If you know Andalusian, you know everything. Let's maybe dive in a little of the things that I found. The Andalusian way of speaking have a few things. The first one is ceseo or ceceo. In Spanish, the standard pronunciation of the sounds like C, Z, and C before E or I is visible, while ceseo and ceceo involve merging some of all of those sounds into a single one. In ceceo, there is no distinction between, for example, S and Z, so both of the letters are pronounced as F, like English. For example, salsa is salsa. In ceseo, for same letters, C and Z, are pronounced like S. For example, zapato pronounced as zapato. Cereza, it's pronounced like cereza. Zurdo, zurdo. Cena, cena. Why is that? I've read that Arabic had no th sound, and probably the contact between languages had smoothened things a little. Probably it stayed that way. Second point, aspirated or dropped final letter S. I talked about it in my first video that I've done. When I had the chance to also work in Motril, Motril has its own dialect, which is called motrileño.
Y yo tan enterado, ¿no? Que Samuel salió con ella también. Y de repente, porque la vida me los pies. Caja llora. Hamburguesa. Hamburguesa.
For the first time, I felt like I am not in Spain. I have no... Let's go back to this letter S, okay? In syllable final position, S becomes a soft H or disappears. For example, there is like the most famous ejemplo, which is like los amigos would be, for them, lo amigo. Or sometimes even lo amigo, you know? Why do they speak like this? Partially due to economy of speech. Andalusian Spanish tends to flow quickly and softly, and dropping these consonants eases pronunciation. Makes sense. The third point is elision and aspiration of other consonants. Final R or D, and sometimes even L are often dropped or softened. For example, when you have usted, it can be usted, comer, come, he flipado, which I say a lot, would be like he flipado. Beautiful, I'm telling you. This is again probably due to the tendency toward open syllables influenced by Arabic and other substratum languages. The fourth point, rotacism. I hope I say it good. Rotacismo, a sound shift that eases pronunciation. In some rural areas of Granada, L and R can switch places in the final position. Is it a mistake? No. It's just a regional feature. Is it found elsewhere? Yes, Caribbean Spanish does it too. But also in Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, when they might say something like el alma becomes el arma. I think it happens mostly in pueblos, like for example La Alpujarra, which I've noticed, and sometimes I picked up like they speak differently. For the person who actually come here and without any Spanish, this kind of things can be quite difficult to notice. For example, me, I've learned from listening. Suddenly you hear people speaking around you and you think this is the word that is actually be written this way, but it's not. And there's another thing that is called lambdacismo, which is opposite of rotacismo, that you are using L instead of R. And it's found more in Western Andalusia and in some Caribbean regions. Like for example, perro would be probably peyo, and amor, amol. Oh, that's so cute, amol, el amol. There's another thing interesting that I found, that it's Rio Platanés. I watched a video about it. Uruguayan is very similar to Argentinian, and Uruguayan has this kind of way of speaking that people sometimes mistake with Argentinian. Argentinian is like a mix of Andalusian with Italiano. I found out that Andalusian Spanish could be the great parents. There's a shared DNA within these languages. So look at this. Like for example, we are going to talk about between Uruguayan and Andalusian and why it's similar. Ceseo, it exists in Uruguayan and Andalusian. And why is it similar? Because it's from Andalusian settlers. Dropped aspirated final S letter. Uruguayan, sometimes in casual speech. Andalusian, it's very common. Softened consonants, like usted, you know, and Andalusian, of course, it exists as well. So expressive intonation exists in Uruguayan and Andalusian. Another one is voceo. It doesn't exist in Andalusian, but it exists in Uruguayan. Voceo is practically saying, like, for example, tú eres, they say vos sos. Yeísmo exists only there. Use of ustedes in Andalusian also exists, and in Uruguayan as well, but I haven't seen many people speaking usted. Only like young people that want to show respect to the elders. I think I already spoke too much. So let's dive into the book. First of all, I want to say that this book is not a joke. It's a cultural and linguistic statement. I've read somewhere that Galician and Catalan are already official languages, and Andalusian still isn't. So I wanted to make it clear. It's not an official language. The first page, but I'm going to skip it. Also the dedication, I'm not going to read it. And we are going directly to capítulo 1. Una vez, cuando yo tenía 6 años, vi un dibujo magnífico en un libro atento a la cerva. Bien, que se llamaba Historias Vecus. Historia vivía. It's so sad that I don't have like right next to me original El Principito. En se figuraba a una bisa. There's an X letter. How to pronounce the X letter? Like, please, just tell me. Like, there has to be an answer for this, like seriously. Representa una fonema prepalata fricativo sordo en la se pronuncia como X en gallego, en catalán, o como la sh en francés. Oh, hasheo. Ah, probably. Okay. N se figuraba a una bicha boa tragándose a una fiera. Aquí decidió una copia de la imagen. Okay. En el libro rezaba: la bicha boa se tragan entera a su presa. Sin maca. Okay, let's try another. Capítulo 5. A cada día me enteraba de algo nuevo sobre el planeta, sobre la salía sobre el valle. Iba posando poco de... I sound like a kid who tries to read something for the first time. Poco de casualidad en las reflexiones. De esa manera conocí al tercer día el drama Lo Baoba. Fue también... okay, I think I understand. Fue también gracias a Borrego, ya que Principito me preguntó de golpe cómo engañado por una grave duda. Well, ¿es verdad? ¿No es cierto que a Borrego le gusta de comerse lo arbutro? Sí, es verdad. ¡Qué contento estoy! No entendí que tenía de importante que los borregos se comieran lo No entendí que tenía de importante que los borregos se comieran los arbutos. Pero el Principito añadió: ¿también se comen los baobabs entonces? Please don't judge me. Yo le expliqué al Principito que los baobabs no son arbustos, sino árboles de grande como iglesia, y que aunque llevará con esto a una trupe de la frente, esa trupe no sería incapaz de derribar un solo baobab. La idea de una trupe de elefante hizo de reírse al Principito. Habría que meterlo uno encima del otro. Vamos con el capítulo 14. El quinto planeta era muy curioso. Era el más chico de todo. Apenas había sitio para que cabiera una farola y un farolero. El Principito no remetaba de explicarse para qué podían servir en un lugar del cielo, en un planeta sin casa ni población, una farola y un farolero. De todas maneras, se dio al niño a la mejor este hombre absurdo. Con todo y con eso, menos absurdo que reír, el increíble hombre negoció y era parracho. Do you understand? If you want to laugh, just please laugh. Like, come on. Por lo menos su briega tiene un sentido. Cuando aprendí la farola, es como si hiciera de nacer otro lucero más, o una flor. That has to be so funny. Cuando apaga la farola, ella a dormir a un lucero. Es una ocupación muy linda. I have no idea if I'm actually really reading this X letter right. I don't even know French. Celebrare el como la H del Cayetano, una forma palata. Tacht. Let's try the internet. What the internet says. Taxi. X. Sh. It's not sh. Okay, I think I'm reading it wrong the whole time. It's X. Boys. X. Esa. Esa. Esa dormir. It doesn't make sense, right? En cuanto llegó al planeta, saludó, representó la farolero. Buenos días. ¿Por qué recién apagado tu farola? La cocina. Respondió el farolero. Buenos días. ¿Qué es lo que es eso de la cocina? Cocina. Apaga la farola. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Echa a dormir. Or maybe the X is she. Y la aprendió otra vez. Pero ¿por qué ahora Mito ha vuelto a aprenderla? Capítulo 6. Principito, así fui comprendiendo poquito a poco. Tu pequeña vía melancólica. Durante mucho tiempo, la única distracción tuya no es nada más que los chupitos de la... I think I have a headache. I sound really bad, right? Estoy prendado de la cuenta de eso. Amoya B de ponerse esto. Pero tendríamos que aprender. ¿Esperar el qué? Okay, another one. Capítulo 13. Okay. El cuarto planeta era el hombre negocio. Aquel hombre estaba tan ocupado que ni siquiera levantó su sola, cuando asomó el Principito. Buenos días, le dio Se le apagó el cigarro. 3 y 2 son 5. 5 y 7, 12. 12 y 3, 15. Buenos días. 15 y 7, 22. 22. 22 y 20. No tengo tiempo para encenderlo. 25. 31. I think if I had some kind of preparation, it would sound much better. But actually at this point, it's not even funny. But let's go to the capítulo 22. Capítulo 22, which is chapter 22. Buenos días, dio el Principito. Buenos días, dio el guadabauma. ¿Tú qué haces aquí? Le dio el Principito. Apareo a la viajero. Empaquetada de mí, dio el guadabura. De paso lo trené que se... Okay, I think I'm going to stop for today because I already embarrassed myself enough. Just let me know if you would like to read this kind of book. What do you think actually about the Andalusian language, and if you would like to learn it in the future? I hope you will, because as I said before, this is one of the best dialects I've ever heard. And before I go, you should actually know that I have already a Moomin bottle here, which means the collection of Moomin that I designed will be soon in stores. They even told me that probably they will sell in Poland in Moomin shops, and also in Finland and in UK. Here I have my bottle that I designed of Moomin. Yeah, here is also a Moomin. And I'm really proud to say that. So, yeah, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.